There are many terrifying creatures that roam the lands of Skull Island and the Hollow Earth. So today we're going to take a look at all the creatures that have been featured in the Kong line of MonsterVerse films. To longtime fans, this video may feel like a blast from the past, with the first video on this collection coming from all the way back in 2019. We have some epic new videos coming this week, taking a look at the titans that you didn't see in Godzilla Kong: The New Empire. But for now, sit back and relax for our recap on all the monsters from Kong Skull Island, Godzilla Vs Kong, and Godzilla X Kong. Enjoy!
What's up, residents? Alistair here, and welcome to our analysis of the monsters from Skull Island. Some of these have been hunted down, some of them we've only seen glimpses of, some never made it into the films. But as we will return to Skull Island for Godzilla vs Kong, which of these creatures will make an appearance? Will we see some new faces, or the return of old ones? Let's take a look at the monsters of Skull Island. Before we get into it, be sure to subscribe to Dangerville and stomp that notification button so you don't miss out on all that kaiju goodness. We also have a Twitter account at Dangerville Team, so head over to our social media page to keep up to date on everything happening on the channel, as well as news as soon as we hear about it. Now, let's get to some monsters. The first most famous creature on this list is Megaprimatus Kong, known to many as King Kong, named by the Iwi natives that worship him on their homeland, Skull Island. In mankind's first encounter with Kong, he stood roughly 100 feet tall, weighing 158 tons, and sporting a thin layer of orange-brown fur. He's more mountain than mammal, and he's still growing. He's the last of his kind and spends most of his days protecting the island and its people from an array of creatures that attempted to take control of the island. In 1973, mankind first came in contact with him during the end of the Vietnam War, on a mission to the island in an effort to gain any kind of intelligence before the Russians. Monarch was in charge of the operation, escorted by the US Army. They came in contact with Kong that proceeded to wipe the majority of their force out, swatting the helicopters out of the sky like they were flies, though not without receiving some damage in the battle. Showcased as incredibly lean like a bodybuilder and demonstrated as being massively powerful, with an intelligence that goes unmatched in the Titan ecosystem, able to use weapons and tools on the fly, makeshifting items from what's laying around him, such as using a propeller from a warship as a blade, and using a tree as a baseball bat. Because of this, he stands as the alpha predator on Skull Island, ready to take on anyone or anything that stands in his way. Kong's most numerous enemy on Skull Island is the Skullcrawler, a reptilian creature sporting 2 legs and a large head which resembles that of a skull, hence the name. Standing anywhere between 25 to 95 feet tall. These creatures were responsible for wiping out most of Kong's species, including his parents, which explains his hatred for these creatures that cause an imbalance to the peace of the island's ecosystem. They hide in tunnels below the surface, making their way through the island from the Hollow Earth, which makes avoiding Kong and hunting the smaller megafauna found on the island easier. Some of these creatures even reside in the rotting bodies of larger titans, basking in the toxic fumes of carbon monoxide and using it as a ground to digest and regurgitate indigestible items, like bone or dirt. The smell would by far be the most putrid odor one could smell. These monsters are relatively easy to kill and can be taken down by fire, though the larger one, also known as Ramarak, is a lot tougher to take down, with Kong needing help from the humans in order to take it down. These creatures are still at large, terrorizing the animals and the people on the island, but Kong still stands to keep the balance whenever he deems necessary. Fun fact, this monster is actually based off a creature seen in the original 1933 King Kong film, where a 2-legged reptile is seen crawling up the side of a cliff face. This creature's design was adopted and modified to be larger and more fearsome, serving as a homage to the classics whilst introducing something new to a wider audience. Mother Longlegs is a large arachnid creature sporting 8 legs pincers, and long, disgusting suckers to lift up and digest its prey, standing between 23 feet tall to 100 feet tall. It has long, spindly legs that resemble bamboo stalks, which allow it to stealthily make its way across the forest and hunt prey. This creature gets its name from being an all-female, self-reproducing species. This creature has been found to actually have trace elements of actual bamboo within its physiology, as if the flora of the island has become infused with its DNA. The legs also serve as weapons, as the poisoned, sharp spear-like tips pin down unsuspecting prey, immobilizing them as it begins to suck vital nutrients from their body, like milkshake through a straw. This is by far the worst way to go. You wouldn't want to come face to face with this monstrosity, though it can be relatively easy to take down by using a sharp weapon to cut the legs piece by piece, as long as it doesn't kill you first. The Skull Island tiger, also known as Icarus tigris or the Holy Tiger, is a species of tiger that inhabits the island, described as an abnormally large white tiger with elongated curved teeth. This carnivore was unfortunately never seen by the soldiers, though rumor has it is that they would occasionally see a large white body graciously stalking them as they trekked through the forests. In the scene that was unfortunately cut from the film, the soldiers will be sat by a campfire, singing shanties and drinking beer, before two of the tigers would emerge, a male and a female, mates smelling for food and getting up close and personal with some of the terrified soldiers, almost as if it could smell their fear. One of the men ordered the soldiers not to shoot and to remain still, and that they would eventually go away. But out of pure fear, a soldier shot one of the tigers in the head, killing it. He was immediately met by a rage-filled tiger that disemboweled him and proceeded to eat his entrails. The rest of the soldiers, running, petrified, reflect on their first encounter with the wildlife on the island. They knew things were never going to be the same. This scene was cut for timing, but it sure would have been brutal. Perhaps we can see it make an appearance in Godzilla Vs Kong. The Siren Jaw is a colossal crocodilian-like creature spanning a length of 45 to 65 feet, sporting bright orange eyes. This creature spends so long submerged in the water that exotic plant life like deciduous trees and a form of rock-like structures have started to grow on it. It gets the name Siren Jaw from the method it uses to attack. As unsuspecting prey approach the creature, which has camouflaged itself as a small island in the lake, and as the prey come close enough, it strikes, devouring any animal within range of its attack. In the comic Skull Island Birth of Kong, Aaron Brooks encountered this creature when his group unintentionally set foot on it, mistaking it for an island. The creature swung around and attacked, but was scared off by Kong's roar. This creature was later killed by Kong, and its carcass has become home to various other life on the island that feast on the rotting flesh. The spore mantis, also known as the walking wood, is a species of giant insect that resides on the island. Able to span up to a length of 15 meters, this creature uses its bark-like exoskeleton to disguise itself as a fallen tree in order to lure prey to a false sense of security before emerging from its shell and striking. In Kong Skull Island, Jack Chapman encounters this creature after mistaking it for a log that he could sit on to catch its breath following a helicopter crash. It woke up and took some shots from Jack's M16 before backing away, scared not of the bullets, but of the skull crawler that lurked behind Chapman, which proceeded to devour him. The Sker buffalo is a 45-foot tall species of giant water buffalo that's native to Skull Island. This mammal can submerge itself in lakes for extended periods of time. Because of this, underwater plant life has begun to grow on it in vast quantities. It sports enormous fork-like horns that can be used to defend itself in combat and to uncover tree roots for nutrients. Though even with the horns, this creature remains docile and doesn't attack unless provoked, though its bulky body leaves it vulnerable to attacks from faster creatures like the skull crawlers and the mother longlegs. Kong is especially protective of these creatures and gets incredibly angry when one is killed in vain, as they are a vital part of the island's ecosystem. Gigantus leviapus, also known as the Maya squid, is a 110-foot species of giant freshwater cephalopod that is found in the rivers of Skull Island. The name comes from the stretch of swampy, boggy ground, which is also called the Maya. Appearing a blood red, this creature has blended attributes of both a squid and an octopus, and when threatened can release a thick black ink to ward off its prey. This doesn't work against Kong, however, as this creature was stamped to death as Kong was hungry for dinner and squid was on the menu. Fun fact, this shot of Kong chowing down on the squid was actually a reference to Oldboy, an award-winning South Korean film from 2003. And finally we have the Psycho Vulture, also known as one ugly-ass bird. This is a species of large bat-like creature that somewhat resembles a pterosaur. The name comes from the psychotic state they go into upon digesting a certain poisonous pufferfish, which makes them incredibly violent. This creature has a wingspan of 3 to 9 feet. There are also various subspecies, such as the smaller creature called leafwing, which gets its name from the green leaf-shaped wings, which has a slightly smaller wingspan of 3 to 5 feet. These creatures have demonstrated insane levels of strength, as 2 leafwings were able to lift up an entire person in a gruesome scene where another nosedives into the man to dismember his arm, using the sharp scythe-like beak, making his body lighter to fly away with. A swarm of these things could take out an entire platoon, and their speed makes them incredibly hard to take down. There's such a variety to the animals that reside in Skull Island, ranging from big to small, violent to docile, each contributing to the island's ecosystem. But even with these documented, there's still many more out there, such as giant snakes, deer, and even giant ants that live in trees and sound like birds. The island is still hostile to any visitors that attempt to scale the region, with most meeting their demise in violent and terrifying ways. The imagination that goes into making these stunning and original creatures seem real is by far the best I've seen in a film, and I hope we can see more of them return for Godzilla vs Kong and maybe witness some new faces. I'd like to see the Skullcrawlers cowering in fear to the mere sight of Godzilla, as they've never seen something so massive on the island. They were fearful of Kong, but what is a king to a god? I really love the Siren Jaw, but what creature is your favourite? Let us know in the comment section down below, I'd love to hear it.
Welcome to Monarch. You are here because you've been assigned to the Kong monitoring station in the Hollow Earth. This research facility is designed so we can make sure Titanis Kong leads a long and healthy life, whilst protecting the lives of the civilians on the surface. Whilst down here, you may be required to obtain intel from the various points of interest in the Hollow Earth, such as the remnants of Kong's temple, where we might find clues to the history of the human race and how we might have coexisted with the Titans. But on those missions, you may come across the dangerous megafauna that is plentiful in the region. So in this video, we'll be going over all the Titans that could become a problem for scouting patrols and how to stay safe. Welcome to all the monsters we know of in the Hollow Earth. Strap in. When the Hollow Earth was discovered, it brought a whole new spectrum of discoveries. Its rich land has seemingly been untouched by human hands, at least for a long time. It's a savage and mystical place, reachable only by Outpost 32's subterranean vortex in Antarctica. The deep dark beneath our feet looks nothing like on the surface, with blue radioactive energy flowing through the ground and gravitational shifts causing entire mountains to seemingly float. This adding another layer to the planet we call Earth, presenting an entirely alien world. First there was the surface, then the ocean, and now the Hollow Earth. This has brought a variety of discoveries, such as weather systems never before seen on the face of the Earth, as well as illumination systems that allow the land to be lit up as if there was sunlight. We're still figuring out how all this works, and some of those research teams have set out to observe the variety of life forms that thrive down below, some of which soar through the air like birds, and some burrow underground. Some won't take any notice of humans unprovoked, but others will immediately hunt us down, and it's our job to decipher which ones to watch out for. First, let's go over the Alpha Titans that used to roam these lands and what their place was. Titanus Kong and Titanus Gojira. These two titans once thrived plentifully in the Hollow Earth, but a war has reduced them to just one of each species, we both know as Kong and Godzilla. The Gojira outgrew the Hollow Earth ages before many of their fellow monsters and titans. Outside of Godzilla himself, the superior race of titans still remains mostly mysterious, but the memories of their kind roaming this bizarre world still remain. Through the bones and fossils spread across the lands of the Hollow Earth, we have been able to understand that Gojira are much more diverse than we originally thought. Whilst Godzilla and his cousin we call Dagon have similar attributes, others of their species grew to be much different in both size and stature. Their bones tell us that they were truly a force to be reckoned with, and that they were much more unique as individuals than we could have possibly imagined. In the short years to come, we expect to learn a lot about Godzilla's kind than we have over 7 decades following around the planet. Who knows what mysteries we'll uncover? But Godzilla tends not to travel through the Hollow Earth, so anyone in the Hollow Earth outpost doesn't have to worry about him, so we're putting him in low risk. With the Kongs, the Hollow Earth has delivered us more knowledge about their kind than we can even begin to comprehend. Not only was Skull Island not their true home, this strange, physics-defying land of the Hollow Earth was perfectly suited for a giant ape to flourish. Rich jungles, tall mountains, and enough space to never feel trapped. But outside of the natural environment being well suited for the Kongs, these ancient titans did something that no other monster has, at least as far as we're aware of. They not only tamed the Hollow Earth, but they even began to build civilizations in this vast world. Temples, monuments, weapons, statues, and thrones, all crafted not by mankind, but by the ancient Kongs, growing to massive sizes and being able to take on and even defeat Gojiras. The Kongs were quickly setting the pace to be the smartest beings on or in the Earth. Kong may not be the king on the surface, but there's no denying that his kind were well on their way to being kings of the Hollow Earth. The Gojira had something to say about Kong's species' rapid evolution, and they brought a great war upon them, destroying their chances of settling the Hollow Earth completely and becoming King and Queen Kongs. From our understanding, Godzilla's species didn't like how advanced Kong's species was becoming, as they were crafting their own homes, societies, and even tools, so they looked to stop the Kongs right in their tracks. Their war was a long and brutal one, with Godzilla's species almost wiping out Kongs, but the Kongs didn't go out without a fight and even crafted weapons from parts of Godzilla's species to fight fire with fire. They recently had their rematch in Hong Kong, and Godzilla proved that he still remains the king of the monsters. For as long as we cooperate with Kong, he remains a low-risk titan. Right, that's it for the Alpha Titans. Let's move on to the subspecies of the Hollow Earth. The Arachnoclaw, also known as rock critters, are tick-like life forms resembling giant, heavily armored spiders with small faces and mandibles for a mouth, and long fingers that mimic the shape of pincers. Rock critters have evolved a rock-like carapace that allows them to camouflage against the ground, shielding them from any predators. From recent research, it's found these creatures don't actually have exoskeletons like insects, as initial observations suggested. These are in fact vertebrates, as we've observed bodies with rib cages and shoulder blades beneath their thick carapace. Whilst these creatures look small, they are absolutely a threat to watch out for, as with their camouflage ability, they're incredibly capable predators for smaller creatures like nesting psychovultures or even humans. They are not intelligent and act purely based on instinct, and like ticks, they find sleeping titans and crawl up on them to feast on their blood until they're full. Their armor's resistive to conventional human weapons, but handheld rocket launchers like the FGM-148 Javelin can take one out when aimed at their weak spots between the joints. But since they travel in packs, if you find one, it means more are nearby, so avoiding them is advised. If you're scared of spiders, these are definitely something to watch out for. We classify these creatures as medium risk. Warbats. These territorial cobra-like titans were the first new creatures to be discovered in the Hollow Earth, and they have a nasty attitude. These large reptilian creatures feature grey scaly skin, 2 enormous fangs that protrude from the bottom jaw, and 2 red membranous wings running down both sides of its serpentine body. Their snake-like form has evolved over millions of years to perfectly navigate the terrain of the Hollow Earth, flying over the terrestrial creatures that wish to harm them, as well as being seemingly unbothered by the gravitational shifts in the land. These apex predators like to hunt in packs and communicate with one another with low-frequency cries, which tells us they are highly intelligent. Their main plan of attack is to constrict their enemies, wrapping their slender bodies around the prey, clutching tight, and then covering the face with their wings in order to prevent them from breathing, suffocating them until they either pass out or die. Once their prey has stopped moving, they retract their wings and feast on the body of their defeated foe. In the first excursion to the Hollow Earth, these creatures attacked Kong and nearly killed him via suffocation, but thanks to the Heave's onboard weapon system, they were able to force the Warbats into retreat, indicating that their wings are a weak spot. But due to these titans being on a perpetual hunt, we're classifying them as high risk. Photodon. We don't know too much about this creature, as it tends to spend its time in lush forests, rarely leaving its home for food, and when it does, it tries its best to blend into its environment. Once spotted feasting on an arachnoclaw, these creatures walk on all fours and have brown scaly skin with rows of spikes protruding down its back, which may act as a defense against flying predators like the aforementioned Warbats. Their skull structure is rather stubby, with jaws filled with razor-sharp teeth, and due to a face that only a mother can love, it's led research teams to nickname this monster TITANS Doug. Some have claimed that this creature could be a subspecies of Godzilla, or perhaps a distant relative, with some features like binocular vision, crocodilian-like skin, and dorsal plates also being present on the king of the monsters. Because their eyes are forward-facing, this allows for binocular vision, meaning they have incredibly good eyesight, and despite its cute appearance, it's a formidable predator. Because of its brownish skin tones, it has the ability to blend into its environment and ambush creatures when they're at the most vulnerable, making hunting easy for this predator. We have yet to encounter one of these creatures, as they seem uninterested with humans as a food source. But due to its thick hide and ability to sneak attack, we're going to place it as medium risk. The Psycho Vulture, also known as One Ugly Ass Bird by Colonel Packard, is a species of large reptilian bat-like creature with a wingspan of 3 to 9 feet that somewhat resembles a pterosaur. These are the first Hollow Earth creatures to ever be documented, as they were found to flourish on Skull Island during Monarch's reconnaissance mission to the island in 1973. These creatures somehow found a way to migrate to the surface. This may be a result of Skull Island being pushed to the surface by a great geological event millions of years ago. There were various subspecies of psychovulture, such as the smaller creature called leafwing, which gets its name from the green leaf-shaped wings, which has a slightly smaller wingspan of 3 to 5 feet. These creatures have demonstrated insane levels of strength, as 2 leafwings were able to lift an entire person up and cut him in half to make the body easier to fly away with. A swarm of these things could take out an entire platoon, and their speed makes them incredibly hard to take down. The harrowing name comes from the psychotic state they go into upon digesting a certain poisonous pufferfish, which makes them incredibly violent. The resulting mania caused by the chemical agent pushes the psychovultures to violently hunt down everything it encounters, even members of its own species. But whilst these pufferfish are plentiful off the shores of Skull Island, they are nowhere to be seen in the Hollow Earth, which makes the variants found below the surface much more relaxed. From Monarch's encounters with the deranged psychovultures, we found they have no armor plating and are vulnerable to any handheld firearm, and can even be dealt with sharp blades. Because of their more relaxed state in the Hollow Earth, we're going to give them a low risk. They will most likely avoid you and are more scared of you than you are of it. These creatures are unlike anything seen on the surface. The Shimida is a multi-limbed vertebrae with greyish skin and mandibles with 6 moving parts that fold backwards to be used in a chilling manner. These reptilian creatures bury themselves in swamp-like areas and deploys moss and lichens to be used as a natural camouflage, and they fold out their mandibles flat on the ground to wait for unsuspecting prey to wander onto the trap, before it slams it shut like a Venus flytrap catching its prey, devouring anything that's unfortunate enough to end up in its mouth. Its hook-like legs anchor it securely into the ground to ensure no movement of its body, so that it can blend in with the surrounding environment perfectly. This creature does not have good eyesight, and when buried underground loses all ability to see, but it has advanced sensory organs in its mouth to efficiently detect even the slightest of footsteps. Though thanks to these creatures living in exclusively dark and swampy areas, it's easy to avoid them as they never wander into light areas. You'd only be at risk if you were to fall into a dark cavern alone with one of these monstrosities. So for that reason, we're going to rank it as medium risk. And finally on this list, we have the Hellhawk. These hideous bat-like creatures sport vulture-like heads, light brown bird-like skin, talons, leathery wings, and armored backs covered with thin strands of hair-like feathers, and light dorsal plates. These creatures have been estimated to reach around 8 feet tall, with a wingspan of approximately 20 to 25 feet, large enough to carry even a fully armored human away. Hellhawks are aggressive predatory creatures that inhabit the caverns of the Hollow Earth, hanging upside down like bats, awaiting the darkness of night so they can commence their hunt. First encountered in Kong's ancient temple, these creatures commenced an assault on an entire squad of soldiers before it was destroyed by Godzilla's atomic breath. These creatures are easily agitated and will relentlessly swarm any aggressor that they come across. They are fiercely defensive of their kills, as food is likely rare deep within the caverns of the Hollow Earth. This was reported when an apex soldier was killed by a lone Hellhawk before a second creature came along in an attempt to challenge the other Hellhawk for the carcass. Their front-facing eyes also help them exceed at hunting, as they can properly focus on the subjects in their line of sight, diving down from high altitudes directly onto their prey, before tearing them to shreds with their huge, raptor-like talons. Scientists have also theorized that these creatures also have a queen and work in unison as a hive mind, with the queen being much larger than the smaller members of its species. One of these queens could take down aerial monarch vehicles effortlessly, so this species is one that we must cautiously observe for the safety of our mission in the Hollow Earth. The Hellhawks are incredibly fast, being a nuisance for even Kong, and with their incredibly sharp beaks, wing strength, and sheer numbers, they are definitely something to watch out for on your expedition into the Hollow Earth. For these creatures, we're going to rank them as high risk. The Hollow Earth is as deadly as it is beautiful, so make sure to hang on to your Monarch survival manual because it could mean the difference from life and death. Never venture outside the compound without backup, your safety gear, a line of communication, or weaponry, as they will assist you in your journey. If you spot a Titan, do not approach, as some are extremely territorial and it may commence an attack on you and your squad. Disregarding the rules will lead you to being dismissed from your duties, and you will be sent back to the surface without pay. Remember, there's still much to learn about the region. Countless monsters may have yet to be discovered, with some potentially more dangerous than those mentioned in the video. So keep an eye out for anything that might be creeping behind you, because it might just want to eat you. Thank you for deciding to join the Monarch Hollow Earth expedition at the Kong Research Outpost, where we're on the cusp of countless earth-shattering discoveries. See you out there!
In the vastness of the Hollow Earth, we are not on the top of the food chain. For millennia, mankind has faced constant challenges: disease, war, catastrophes of all kinds. However, our greatest victory of all may just be how we took ourselves off the dinner menu. Well, at least for the most part. But back down in this unexplored land, death could lie on the other side of every turn. For years, brave individuals have put their lives on the line to explore the Hollow Earth. And so far, we have been able to put together a list of nearly 20 species of Titan and Hollow Earth beasts that roam these strange lands. this is merely a tiny fraction of what we know is out there, so make sure you subscribe as we discover more of these anomalies. In this debrief, we will teach you all we know about these animals, the nicer ones, and the ones that will no doubt send you to your maker before you even get a chance to scream. So pay attention, you may just end up becoming Titanus dug dung if you don't carefully learn about these monsters. So strap in, let's get this mobile feast moving.
Commencing Titan analysis. Titanus Kong, male, height 337 feet, weight 55,000 tons, also known as King of Skull Island, Juggernaut of the Jungle, and the Defender of Hollow Earth. Weaponry: intelligence, strength, courage, battle axe, electrically charged beast glove.
Following the events of Godzilla vs Kong, the king found a home in the Hollow Earth and continued his quest to find more of his kind. When accidentally coming upon an unexplored region of the Hollow Earth, he found Suko and the Great Apes, which brought his journey full circle. He wasn't alone, but not all of his kind were protectors. But in order to take down a massive threat, his quest led him to teaming up with the one and only
Titanus Gojira, male, height 393 feet, weight 99,634 tons, also known as the Ultimate Titan, God of Destruction, and King of the Monsters. Weaponry includes strength, alcohol, atomic heat ray, radiation and DNA absorption, advanced regeneration, and nuclear pulse.
Godzilla would spend most of the events of the new empire fighting titans and absorbing radiation in order to evolve to his powerful new form, Godzilla Evo, strong enough to face even the most powerful of adversaries, glowing a bright magenta with an even more intense atomic breath, reaching even greater heights of over 400 feet. And in the end, Godzilla stood victorious.
Icarus Folium, also known as leaf wings, wingspan 3 to 5 feet, weight 25 kilograms, weapons, talons, poisonous secretion.
This creature is a species of avian reptile found in the regions of Skull Island and the Hollow Earth. Discovered in 1973 in Monarch's expedition to Skull Island, these creatures are mostly peaceful and mind their own business until they get hungry. With their sharp claws, poison secretion and flying capabilities, they have the potential to be a deadly menace.
Orc Dog, height 150 feet, length 290 feet, weight 19,000 tons, weapons, sharp claws, tusks, group hunters.
A ravenous pack-hunting species found within the Hollow Earth. With large tusks and sharp claws, they pose a great threat when encountered in groups. We see them pursue Kong, looking to quell their satiable hunger, but were defeated after the King of Skull Island tore one in half, scaring the rest away.
Parrot Frog, height 50 feet tall, weight 500 tons, weapons, poison tongue spear.
This creature was seen in the rocky cavern of the Hollow Earth. It gets its name from its unique ability to mimic sounds it hears in order to draw in prey. And when something is lured within range, it strikes with its sharp tongue and, at the tip, a poison spear to latch onto its prey and snap it back into its mouth. Don't underestimate this innocent-looking creature, for it's a deadly one.
Titanus Dug, named after the monarch scientist that first discovered him. Height 75 feet, length 240 feet, weight 15,000 tons, weapons, razor-sharp teeth, quick dash, jaw-locking.
Also known as the Food Stealer, Big Lizard Thing, and Photodon, Titanus Dug is a scavenger-hunter hybrid that often uses its camouflaged hide to remain unseen in the rocky terrain of the Hollow Earth. And when the time is right, will pounce and lock its jaw so nothing can escape its bites. This titan is known to be a nuisance to Kong, but they're mostly harmless until they mature, then knows how deadly they can be.
Titanus Scylla, female, height 341 feet, weight 20,000 tons, weapons, sharp pincers, mucus web spray, fog emission.
Named after the legendary Greek monster, Scylla is an armored cephalopod that is seen attacking the city of Rome before Godzilla senses the disturbance and makes landfall to take down the attacking Titan, and is ultimately killed by the king of the monsters with a heat ray blast to the face.
Verticine, height 30 feet, wingspan 60 feet, weight 50 tons. Weapons, bioelectricity, overwhelming numbers.
These creatures were discovered flying in the Hollow Earth. Traveling in packs, these flying creatures are mostly docile, but when threatened, they have the capacity to emit bioelectricity, of which can harm potential predators, but also is used to attract mates, with greater electrical charges being signs of maturity. In Scar's invasion of the Iwi city, Trapper lured them in to swarm and attack the apes, overwhelming his forces.
Warbat, length 428 feet, wingspan 300 feet, weight 26,000 tons. Weapons, suffocating wings, venomous bite.
These large predatory serpents are capable of flight and group together to hunt in packs, attacking those unfortunate enough to find themselves in their path. With a venomous bite, heightened strength, agility, and suffocating wings, these titans are one to be avoided.
Tree mimic, length 40 feet, weight 56 tons. Weapons, tendril roots, camouflage.
This creature lays dormant in the forest floor, taking the form of a dead, rotting tree. It secretes a foul odor which lures in predators thinking a carcass is nearby, and when it's close, tendrils snap out and suck in the prey. It's said the pressure from being swallowed by this thing is so great it turns you into mist before you even realize what happened, making this a horrible but quick way to go.
Hellhawk, height 9 feet, wingspan 26 feet, weight 500 kilograms. Weapons, sharp talons, strong wings.
These small owl-like creatures are found commonly in the caves of the Hollow Earth, but will occasionally leave their nest to hunt for grubs and small mammals. They are capable of lifting humans, so they must be avoided at all costs. If there's one, there's hundreds of others hiding in the shadows.
Drown viper, male, length approximately 1,000 feet, weight 75,000 tons. Weapons, constrictor, sharp fangs.
Getting their names from their attack move, they try to drown their prey in the rivers they reside in. By wrapping their strong serpentine muscles around their prey, they're able to drag them into the deep and suffocate them until they give in, leaving it to swallow them whole. Many have fallen to this titanic beast until it met the mighty Kong.
Titanus Tiamat, Titan 019, female, length 847 feet, weight 45,000 tons. Weapons, razor-sharp scales, hydrokinesis, expandable frills, and phosphorus ink.
This titan is serpentine in nature and classified as a destroyer by Monarch. When Godzilla was on his path to powering up, he found himself at Tiamat's doorstep. The two fought tooth and claw, but Tiamat was no match for Godzilla's atomic breath. Godzilla proceeded to absorb her DNA and radiation and hibernated in her lair.
Great apes, height 275 to 330 feet tall, weight 30 to 40,000 tons. Weapons, strength, intelligence, thumbs.
After Kong spent his whole life wondering if he was truly alone, he discovered that in the Hollow Earth was an entire civilization of great apes that had been trapped here for thousands of years. With sapient levels of intelligence, they're able to use tools and form a social hierarchy. They form familial bonds as complex as any human, but they are submissive to the one that oppresses them, the evil.
Titanus Scar King, male, height 318 foot, weight 45,000 tons. Also known as the Enslaver, Red-Haired Conqueror, Anti-Kong, and Red King. Weapons, agility, strength, bone whip, Ability to command Titans.
This Titan is said to be the one that instigated the Great Titan War between the Godzillas and the Kongs. Scar is a malicious, evil Titan that relishes in the pain of others, appearing red with long uncanny arms and an orangutan-like appearance. Scar's malevolence culminates with his tool of destruction, his bone whip made from the spine of a dead warbat. Kong came across Scar tormenting his enslaved great apes, who he was using to mine for resources, carrying a mountain's worth of boulders. But he was defeated by Godzilla and Kong, who teamed up to take him down. But during his reign, he controlled the massive Titan.
Titans Shimo. Female. Height 375 feet and 531 feet on hind legs. Weight 190,000 tons. Also known as the Blizzard Lizard, Sub-Zero Destroyer, and the First Titan. Weapons: Frost Blast, strength and durability, enormous size.
This Titan is often called the First Titan, an ancient being much older than any of the other Titans we know today. A quadruped reptile with pale white scales, sharp claws, and icy blue crystals growing from her back and tail. We first see Shimo in Scar King's lair, where she was revealed to be chained up as a pet to the Red Conqueror. She was controlled by Scar with a crystal that inflicted great pain upon her. If she refused to do his bidding, he would send shocks of excruciating pain through her body. But when the crystal was destroyed, Shimo was free of Scar King's grip and she froze the Red Menace, allowing Kong to smash him into pieces, ending his reign of terror.
Zuko. Male. Height 149 feet. Weight 1,200 tons. Weapons: speed, intelligence, trust.
This juvenile great ape is a crossbreed between one of Kong's species and the Scar King. Because of the Hollow Earth radiation, Zuko was able to grow faster than Kong did on the surface, starting out as an opposition to Kong, working with a scouting party to ambush him. He soon learned that there is more to life than the horrors he experienced under the reign of Scar. So Kong took him under his wing, and they both worked together to end the reign of their oppressor and start a new life free from torment.
TITANS Masura. Female. Height 52 feet. Wingspan 803 feet. Also known as Queen of the Monsters, Giver of Life, or as we like to call her, Mothra. Weapons: sharp pincers, silk spray, god rays, reincarnation, ally of Godzilla.
This angelic Mothra is known as the mother of all Mothras. After laying the eggs on the surface that birthed the Titan we saw in King of the Monsters, she returned to her resting place in the Hollow Earth, where she stayed for thousands of years. She is a protector of the Iwi and awoke once again when she was summoned by Gia, who was prophesied to unionize the Alpha Titans and put a stop to the Red King. Breaking tradition, Mothra actually lives at the end of the new empire, which means we'll likely see the Queen of the Monsters again in the future, defending the Iwis, assisting the King of the Great Apes, and the King of the Monsters. There are all sorts of mystical beasts in the new empire, some huge and terrifying, some smaller and benevolent. But I love that we get a better look at how this ecosystem works, and that even these hulking predators have a life outside of hunting. It's only strengthened the lore and world of the MonsterVerse and made the Hollow Earth feel that much more alive. Little things like the Hellhawks and Titanus Dug get their time to shine, and bit by bit we uncover the pieces of the puzzle that tell us just how deadly these creatures really are. Even Kong knew not to mess with a flock of warbats. It puts into perspective just how small humanity is. And considering Monarch has mapped only 5% of the Hollow Earth, who knows what other gigantic beasts are out there? What else will pose a threat to the surface, waiting to plunge humanity back to the Stone Age? Which was your favourite Titan from Godzilla Kong? Let us know in the comment section down below. Give this video a big old Kong-sized thumbs up if you want more Titan breakdowns. I've been Alistair, and we'll see you, residents, in the next one.